After my hundreds of layer 2s, I've further optimized my series of God Slayer PVE builds, to the point that the third version easily does 30% more damage than the second. Not to mention it also has far higher defensive capabilities. It does all of this while still being able to get some of the fastest layer 2 times in the world. Today's video will include the build maker, and a lot of the talent synergies in this build. So make sure you stick around to the end, and subscribe, since I'll be showing off just how strong this build is in videos to come. Alright, so for the race, either Gremor or Vesperian are the most optimal races for this build, just because it lets you get a few more points in heavy weapon at the end. Although if you don't have either of these, you can go whatever race you like. You'll just be losing a couple points into heavy weapon, which doesn't really matter too much. Now for your starting stats, you want to dump most of it into willpower, and then the rest into strength. This will be important for a reason you'll see later. Then you use 6 Iron Sing and 6 Flame Charm as your starting attunements. From there you get to 20 Iron Sing immediately just for the mantras and 40 Flame Charm, and then back to 50 Iron Sing in this order. This will make getting all the elemental attunements and talents really easy. Now you want to immediately rush 40 willpower, then 15 strength. This is just for the auto scream requirements. And now right before you hit power 9, you're gonna have to escape depths and kill Kaido. There's two ways you can do this. You can either do it yourself, escape, and cheese Kaido at Ferryman, which is a little risky if you're not super skilled, or you can get carried by a guildmate or someone from a Deepwoken carrying Discord, because a few of them exist and are pretty useful. But once you've got Auto Scream, there's a few more things you need to do in the surface. The first, I'd recommend getting all 3 of your extra talent hands just for safety, since it'll make getting Auto Scream and the other cards you need a lot easier. You can also do Mantra Quest while on surface if you're missing something. From there you go to Idris and buy a 3-star Worshipper's Shield from the food store and get the Plefsky's Will talent, since you can get it for free with your Flame Charm. Then you can go get Oathless for free, and you can also unlock Frost Straw, although you only want to drink the potion right before you Shrine of Order. Then you want to head back down to Depths and get 40 Fortitude, and then you can equip the shield because you need to equip it before you Shrine of Order. Now put 1 point into your heavy weapon, agility and charisma, and these are the stats you're going to Shrine of Order with. But before you do that, you've got to make sure that you use Shrine of Chance or Shrine of Blasphemy to get Exoskeleton from 40 Fortitude. Keep in mind you can use Mystic to essentially guarantee it by selecting the natural armor option, but another way you can make it a lot easier is by picking up or burning extra rares before you Shrine of Order. So once you Shrine of Order, your stats should end up like this. You want to go for 22 willpower, 20 Iron Sing and 20 Flame Charm for the most heavy weapon at the end of the build. Now immediately you want to go to 25 agility and 25 fortitude and 25 charisma. From here you just immediately rush to 75 frost draw and 75 heavy. Then you can unbound both of these at the same time to max out the build, and these should be the stats you end off with at the end. For your traits, obviously max damage, so 6 song chant and 6 proficiency. For boons you go Scrapper to make progressing the build easier, and Pack Mule for the extra carry load. Obviously you're going simple as Deep Bound, and for your extra floor you can either get Glutton, Manic, Hemophilia, or Squeamish. Personally on the build, I ended up getting Squeamish. Now for your bell, when you get that, I got crazy slots on the build, although you can realistically go anything that you want. And for my outfit, I'm using a Prophet's Cloak for the extra mantra pen. Now let's go over the talents that you'll need. You're going to grab Conditioned Runner and Phoenix Flames as your 2 advanced cards. Grab Carnivore and Spine Cutter. I'll only be going over the major talents here, so nothing elemental intensity wise. Grab Fishman, Exoskeleton, Neuroplasticity for the extra mantra slot, and you want to grab Thresher Claws for more pen, Blood Iron Spirit, Speed Demon and Scuba Drowner. Then you want to grab Kickoff for extra climb height and Time to Go for the speed boost, Flame Within for an extra 20% M1 damage, Grand Feast for even more sustainability from Carnivore. Then you can grab Giant Slayer if you want, although it's not super important. But what is Tough Love and Charged Return. These 2 cards give you a ton of free damage. Get Cauterized Wounds for reduced blood loss. I like Produce Spark just because it eliminates the need for a flint. Then I'll grab Orbital Ice for the damage reduction, and for a change I'm actually going Crystallization on this build. I normally don't like it just because it makes fighting some monsters annoying, but we have other ways to kill monsters that don't involve Frostdraw mantras. You'll already have Plefsky's Will from the quest at Idris. You want to grab Old Habits Die Hard and Breathing Exercises, Metal Eater to essentially let you cast Iron Sing mantras for free at the cost of armor durability, then then Auto Scream for an extra 25% damage when you activate it. This card is super busted. Hungry Flames is optional, although just because Flame Within takes essentially no ether, I don't actually notice this proccing. Scrap Singer is purely optional and just adds a tiny bit of damage. If you don't get it, it's no worries. You want to grab Flaming Flourish so that you can grip Chaser, which is super useful, and then Matador since it's always proccing on Chaser. Now you'll have 38 main essential talents, although you can get extras for just Elemental Intensity, but this should be very easy to get, especially since some of these are quest talents that you get for free. Now we're going to come to the mantras, and you're going to immediately grab Warden's Blades and Frozen Servants, as well as Ice Cubes. These three are an insane trio for damage with Frostdraw. Then you want to grab Metal Armament and Caltrops. Caltrops essentially does more damage than my M1, so it's good to throw out occasionally to deal insane damage to bosses. Then you want to grab Metal Ball, Ice Skates, and Glacial Arc. These three, yet again, are an insane trio for mobility. Then for your support mantra, you can either grab Adrenaline Surge to get easier speed boost procs, or you can grab Taunt for an extra way to bypass the damage cap. Because if you have Taunt active with Grim and Auto Scream, you're essentially getting 225% damage, which is crazy. For your weapon, if you see my other videos, you know the best weapon is an Enforcer's Axe with a speed boost. Now if you get it with Grim, you're going to be doing insane damage when Grim is procced. Now let us chuck an Ishin's Ring, Charisma, Willpower, and Agility Scaling Ring onto this build, and you're dealing a lot. And of course, if you're going with crazy slots, you're going to be dealing even more damage. For the mantra modifiers, I mainly just chuck Cloudstones on things like Warden's Blades, Frozen Servants, and Caltrops for even more damage. Nothing else really needs modifying here. And all the gems are just blue gems and wind gems on my ice mantras to proc a speed boost. And yeah, that's about it if you want to actually make the build. Coming over to the summary, we're getting a ton of health from this build since it's substantially more tankier than V2 thanks to Exoskeleton. Right now let's get into all the talent synergies and how you can actually use this build to one cycle Chaser and get absolutely insane damage on enemies. The first major tech in the run is Metal Ball plus Glacial Arc. This just allows you to gain immense height pretty much for free and is used many times in the run. For instance, getting the key, Glacial Arcing to spawn Bone Heaper after we ice skates towards him, and once again we use it to get over the Bone Heaper structure to get to Generator and turn it on. Now for Bounder's Nest skip, which technically uses Glacial Arc but is a whole different thing. You need to come out of bounds here, use a Glacial Arc, and climb up it to spawn Bounders. Then you can simply just Metal Ball up. In the past, you needed Felinor to do this skip, but Glacial Arc means you can do it on any race. Now for Auto Scream, you need to time this very well. You want to Auto Scream before you break the last jar, break it, and then you want to toggle on Flame Within and Metal Armament. You can do both of these things for free, since they take basically no ether or no ether. Alright, now let's talk about how to deal maximum damage to Chaser with this build. I'm going to demonstrate it while getting hit. So you want to immediately Spine Cutter him, and stab out your Ice Mantras, and at the end you want to use Caltrops and Spine Cutter again. And as you can see, that led us to gripping Chaser even though we lost our chain stacks. So yeah, this build is still 2-cycling Chaser easily. That means I could probably 1-cycle him if I ended up using crazy slots or building up chain stacks beforehand. This build is pretty crazy. And yeah, that was the God Slayer V3. My latest and definitely greatest PvE build. You can easily shred layer 2s with it, and not to mention all other bosses will be melted with the sheer amount of damage this thing can output. It's completely better than V2 in every way, more tanky and more damage. If you want to know a more specific speedrun route, I recommend checking out my specialized video on that. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe for some more PvE content, and I'll see you next time.